I am officially unwell. Like, I am physically, mentally, and just emotionally compromised right now. And it is entirely the fault of reality television.
Just, take a breath.
My brain is broken. Like, the blogs have absolutely no respect for my blood pressure or my central nervous system. I am gasping for air over here.
I know. Just breathe. Hold onto your glass and let the chaos wash over you.
Yeah.
Because you are right, the internet chose violence today, and they targeted us specifically.
Welcome back, babes. We love you. We see you. And, babes, we hope we all have an amazing weekend.
We truly do. You survived the week, and now it is time to reward yourselves by descending into the absolute madness of the reality TV cinematic universe with us.
And to help us cope, the Cantaloupe Hugo Spritzes are officially back on deck. And, babes, they're still absolutely incredible. I am not exaggerating when I say I'm deeply emotionally attached to the aesthetic of this drink right now.
It is a very good drink.
Just holding this glass with the little melon spheres and the mint, it instantly makes me feel like emotionally expensive. It romanticizes my entire Thursday evening. I feel like I'm sitting on a veranda in Positano, not staring at a microphone in a studio after a 10-hour workday.
We have accidentally become the most insufferable cocktail snobs, and honestly, I'm entirely okay with it. We are treating cocktail creation like it is a competitive Olympic sport.
Right.
The precision of the elderflower liqueur to the Prosecco ratio, Olympic gold. We are fully pretending we belong at a luxury beach resort right now, demanding pool boys bring us fresh towels instead of acknowledging the reality that we are sitting in a soundproof room spiraling over Bravo stars.
It is the delusion for me. It is the self-preservation delusion. Because, babes, it is Thursday evening, and I want to know why. Like, why the gossip blogs always decide to wait until the literal end of the day, right when we're clocking out, to drop the most nuclear tea imaginable.
It is so rude.
I am emotionally exhausted. I was rushing to the studio after work, dodging traffic, sweating through my setting spray, just scrolling through my phone at red lights, screaming at the dashboard.
I am convinced, without a shadow of a doubt, that the bloggers are plotting against us specifically. It is a targeted attack. They know our recording schedule.
They have to.
But analytically, there is a real mechanism behind this. The 4:59 p.m. drop is a highly calculated algorithmic strategy. If you drop a massive story late Thursday, it marinates on Twitter all night, hits the European morning news cycle on Friday, and then dominates the entire weekend algorithm when people are mindlessly scrolling on their couches.
Oh my gosh, it traps the PR reps, too. Think about it. The publicists are literally packing up their tote bags to go to happy hour, and suddenly TMZ hits publish.
Exactly.
They cannot issue a cohesive denial until Monday morning, and by then, the narrative is entirely out of their control. The drama gods refuse to respect business hours. They have zero respect for the concept of a work-life balance.
None. They want maximum chaos with minimum corporate interference.
And that is exactly why we need the Snark Squad. We need our babes to help us process this trauma, which is why we wanted to share our listener submissions to kick things off. Because, babes, the stories have been incredible lately. You guys are living lives that belong on television.
Keep sending the chaos.
Yeah.
Honestly, my favorite part of the week is opening that inbox. Because we love mess, we love the squad, and honestly, we love spiraling together. It validates my own life choices when I see the absolute mayhem you all are navigating.
Same. Today, we picked 3 listener-submitted confessions, and they are all themed around this very specific, very potent end-of-an-era energy.
Oh, I love an era ending.
Leaving behind a messy phase of life, closing a chapter, burning the book, and we are going to rate them on our official scale. Shady, snarky, or just plain stupid.
Let us do it. Hit me with the first era-ending disaster.
Let us look at the first one. I am calling it the group chat collapse. So this listener wrote in that she was part of a horribly toxic 10-year friendship group chat. 10 years.
A decade. That is a prison sentence.
We're talking a decade of passive-aggressive comments, unspoken resentments, and absolute emotional warfare. So the ultimate mean girl of the group sends a digital save-the-date for her wedding into the chat, expecting everyone to fawn over it.
Naturally.
Our listener just drops a single generic thumbs-up emoji, immediately exits the chat, and blocks every single number in her phone.
A single thumbs-up emoji, not even the heart one.
No.
Just the default yellow thumbs up. That is glacial. That is sub-zero temperature behavior.
I am actually getting emotional just thinking about the sheer, unadulterated bravery of that moment. I empathize so deeply with the anxiety of leaving a messy phase of life, especially a decade-long friendship.
It's hard.
Do you know how hard it is to just cut the cord? To not write a 5-paragraph text explaining your feelings? She bypassed the closure entirely. She just hit the eject button. I am so proud of her.
I am rating this definitively as snarky, but we have to look at the psychological warfare here. It is a brilliant strategic retreat.
How so?
Well, by not giving a reason, she denied them the oxygen of a fight. If she writes the 5-paragraph text, they can screenshot it, put it in a new group chat without her, and dissect her emotions for months. The thumbs up is infuriatingly neutral.
That is so true.
It provides zero data for them to weaponize. It is the ultimate power move because it forces the mean girl to sit with the void.
Okay, I love that interpretation, but I actually want to push back a little. I do not think it was just a strategic move to deny them oxygen. I think the thumbs up is actively aggressive. It is a corporate acknowledgement.
Oh, I see what you mean.
It is like saying request received to wedding invitation. It demotes a 10-year friendship to a mundane administrative task.
That makes it even better, relegating your frenemies' major life milestone to a read receipt.
Exactly. Okay, story 2. The petty quitter. This babe was working a terrible, soul-crushing corporate job, micromanaging boss, no boundaries, the whole toxic 9 yards.
We have all been there.
When it was finally time to quit, instead of an email, they went to the drugstore, bought a deeply sincere, foil-embossed, sorry for your loss greeting card.
Stop.
They wrote their formal 2 weeks notice inside the card, left it perfectly centered on the boss's desk, and walked out.
A sympathy card for resignation. The absolute theatricality of that.
I gasped when I read it.
The pomp and circumstance of declaring your own departure as a devastating tragedy for the company, I rate this 100% shady.
The bravery to walk into a drugstore, look at the sympathy section, pass the lilies and the doves, and think, yes, this perfectly encapsulates my corporate exit. The emotional validation of treating your presence as a gift they are now losing. It is beautiful.
It is top-tier shade, but think about the HR mechanics of this. From a legal standpoint, a resignation in an at-will employment state does not require a specific format.
Wait, really?
Yeah, as long as the intent to sever the employment relationship is clearly communicated and dated, a Hallmark sympathy card is a legally binding document. Imagine the HR director having to photocopy a watercolor reaping willow tree to put in this employee's permanent file.
I am crying. Pursuant to the cursive font on page 2, the employee's final day is the 14th. I love it. All right, final one. Story 3. The move-out revenge.
Let us hear it.
Our listener found out her live-in boyfriend was cheating on her, so while he was at work, she packed up all her stuff to move out. But as a parting gift, she did not destroy his things. She just took the left shoe of every single pair of footwear he owned.
Okay, wait.
And she took the glass turntable plate out of the center of the microwave.
Why microwave plate?
The microwave plate, I feel the emotional vindication in my bones. It is so specific. You go to heat up a Hot Pocket and it is just sparking and sitting off-center.
That is unhinged.
You go to put on your sneakers to chase after your girlfriend and you only have right shoes. It is a psychological thriller.
I respect the attempted disruption, but I have to rate this one stupid.
What?
Hear me out. It is hilarious, yes. But think about the logistics on her end. She is now carrying boxes to her new apartment, filled with a dozen useless left men's shoes and a random greasy glass plate. What is she going to do with them? Start a very specific, unbalanced thrift store. She punished him, but she burdened herself with literal garbage.
She threw them in a dumpster behind a Wendy's. She did not keep them. She just wanted to introduce mild, persistent inconveniences into his daily routine. It is petty perfection.
I still argue it is a liability. You do not want to transport your ex's cursed objects in your getaway vehicle. But the recurring theme here is fascinating.
It really is.
People are desperate to reclaim their autonomy. When a situation, whether it's a job, a friendship, or a relationship, strips you of your agency, the exit strategy becomes the only thing you can control. The crazier the exit, the more control you feel like you've taken it back.
And we are desperately trying to take back control of our own chaotic lives right now, which is why we officially made an audacious, slightly unhinged adult goal for ourselves.
Yeah.
A pact.
We did. We looked at our lives, we looked at our complete lack of basic discipline, and we established terms.
Tell the squad the contract.
Here's the contract. If we survive the entire summer without missing a single rec basketball game, if we finish all of our Italian classes without dropping out because the conjugations get hard,
Which they are.
if we complete our planned vegetarian week 4 separate times, and if we generally behave like functioning, productive citizens of society,
A drum roll, please.
we are buying ourselves Louis Vuitton wallets.
I am already mentally choosing the colors. Like, I am oscillating between the classic monogram and maybe something in the Improniff leather, maybe soft dove gray.
You are getting ahead of yourself.
I am romanticizing my personal growth so much right now.
Yeah.
Honestly, I am questioning if I even need to do the tasks or if I just inherently deserve designer accessories for simply existing in this economy. Do not, we just deserve it.
You are already trying to find a loophole in the contract. Look at what we are doing. We are gamifying basic survival. The behavioral economics behind this is wild.
Is it?
We are grown adults, and our prefrontal cortexes apparently still require a shiny object at the end of a maze to function. We literally have to bribe ourselves with French leather goods just to eat a vegetable for 7 days and show up to a basketball court.
It's called motivation.
We are creating a manufactured dopamine loop because the intrinsic reward of being healthy is not enough anymore.
It might be the healthiest self-improvement journey ever attempted purely out of luxury greed. We are manifesting wellness through the power of retail therapy.
If you say so.
The emotional power of knowing that wallet is waiting at the finish line. It is keeping me going. It is keeping the Hugo Spritz in my hand and the spinach in my fridge.
We are over here trying to bribe ourselves with designer leather just to consume dietary fiber, which is a very specific type of financial delusion. But if we are going to unpack financial delusion, we have to look at someone who has completely transcended it and is operating in a terrifying new reality. Bethany Frankel.
Oh my God, the Emma Greed podcast. I listened to it on my commute and I literally had to pull over.
Bethany goes on this show and she casually slides into the conversation that she is pulling in over $20 million a year.
20 million.
And that is just from her influencing and her brand deals. She's specifically noted that this $20 million does not include Skinny Girl. It does not include her real estate portfolio. And it does not include her licensing. Just her talking on the internet.
I had such a visceral, emotional reaction to this because for years, Bethany has been so fiercely protective of her actual numbers. She has always had that hustler energy, but she never gave us the exact spreadsheet.
Right, she kept it vague.
And to hear her finally open up about her finances, especially right now, she just announced she was diagnosed with stage 2 kidney disease back in January, and her health is taking a hit.
Yeah, that is tough.
It feels like she is looking at her empire and saying, look at what I built, look at what I am worth, even when I am physically struggling.
It is definitely a legacy moment, but let us break down the mechanics of how someone actually generates $20 million purely from social media without a production company behind them.
Okay, teach me.
She claims multi-billion-dollar companies are practically begging her for advice because she does not use scripts. She just turns the camera on and tells it like it is in her kitchen.
I believe her. She reviews drugstore makeup with the exact same intensity that she reviews luxury skincare. The authenticity is the product.
But I have to push back on her motivations for dropping this exact number right now. Look at the landscape. Her reality TV era is firmly closed. The Housewives chapter is done. Is she dropping this 20 million figure to assert absolute dominance over the influencer space? Or is this a defensive flex? Because legacy media does not care about her anymore. She is yelling her net worth from the rooftops to prove she does not need a Bravo paycheck. It is a defense mechanism wrapped in a financial flex.
I disagree. I actually think it is purely offensive. I do not think it is defensive at all. She said she appeals to teenagers and women over 50. She is bridging the generational gap.
CV a strategy.
100%. By publicly stating she makes $20 million, she is setting her, quote, for future brand deals. She is telling corporate America, this is the floor. If you want me to hold your mascara on TikTok, you are paying a premium because my conversion rates are astronomical. She is essentially acting as her own PR agency to drive up her market value.
Setting the baseline. That is a fair point. If you announce your gross revenue, you anchor the negotiations.
Exactly.
But we also have to remember the difference between gross revenue and net profit. If she is pulling in $20 million, you have to factor in the agent fees, the management percentages, the overhead of her team, and the massive tax liability of operating as a high net worth individual in New York.
Taxes, the absolute kryptonite of the reality TV star. Because while Bethany is flexing real, liquid $20 million wealth, we have to cross the tracks to what is happening down in the valley where the IRS has firmly entered the chat.
Brittany Cartwright's tax lien, the collision of reality television and federal law.
Babes, my heart sank into my stomach when I saw her name on the California Tax Board's top 500 delinquency list. The list of shame. They hit her with a $500,000 tax bill dating back to 2019. $500,000.
It is a staggering number, but we have to dissect how a reality star gets hit with a bill that large out of nowhere. She hired a CPA, Christopher Fank, and he investigated it.
Thank goodness for him.
He proved to the Franchise Tax Board that it was tied to phantom income. And yesterday, she was spotted at LAX, heading to her nephew's graduation, absolutely beaming. She told TMZ the problems were completely fixed. She is off the hook.
I am so relieved for her, but please explain phantom income to me like I am a child holding a Hugo Spritz. How do you get tacked out on money you never saw?
Okay, think of it this way. Imagine you and I open a lemonade stand, and we structure it as a partnership LLC. The stand makes $100 in profit.
Okay, I am with you.
But instead of splitting that cash and taking it home, we decide to leave the money in the cash register to buy more lemons and a nicer pitcher next week.
Smart business.
Right. At the end of the year, the IRS looks at our LLC and says, your business generated $100 in profit. You each owe taxes on $50. We have to pay taxes on that profit, even though we never actually touched the cash.
Wait, really?
Yes, it was reinvested. The income is real on paper, but phantom to our personal bank accounts.
Oh my gosh, so she was getting taxed on the corporate structure of her reality TV payouts?
Exactly. When these stars set up loan-out corporations or LLCs to receive their Bravo paychecks or influencer deals, if the accounting is not immaculate, the production company issues a tax form showing a massive payout.
That sounds like a nightmare.
It is. If those funds were tied up, withheld, or routed through an agency, the star gets hit with the personal tax liability for the gross amount. It is a massive failure of her previous financial team, which is why her new CPA was able to clear it. He basically proved she was billed for a dinner she only looked at on the menu.
That is so incredibly dark, because watching this season of The Valley, it is so sad when Brittany was talking about her very real fear that Jax Taylor was going to just up and leave her and stick her with their $14,000 a month mortgage.
Yeah, she has been carrying a lot.
She's been carrying so much anxiety about money and providing for crews, and then to get hit with a fake $500,000 bill from 2019. The era when Jax was arguably at his most chaotic, the stress must have been unbearable.
The psychological toll of phantom debt is immense. But honestly, it's a rite of passage. You are not a true Bravo star until the IRS or the state tax board comes knocking at your door for a six-figure sum. Teresa, Dorrit, Cherie, now Brittany, she has officially joined the Alumni Association of Tax Liens.
Well, she has so much more to celebrate than just beating the IRS. She is officially entering a completely near physical and emotional era. The sneak peek for next week's episode of The Valley, I was screaming at my television.
The crab oil.
The pre-mommy makeover crab boil. Okay, so Brittany is finally getting her breast implants removed. The implants she got back in season 4 of Vanderpump Rules when Jax basically demanded she get them, which is a whole other layer of bodily autonomy trauma we did not have time to unpack today.
I really do not.
But Zach Wickham, Jasmine Good, and Kristen Doubt surprise her. They make her close her eyes, and Zach brings out a cake. A literal sheet cake with a tombstone, 2 giant frosted boobs, and it says R.I.P. to the titties.
The comedic timing of Zach Wickham holding that cake is brilliant. But let us look at the underlying narrative structure of The Valley here. We have Brittany celebrating a major physical reclamation.
Yes, growth.
And in the very same episode, we have Tom Schwartz, who just floats between these shows like a confused, displaced ghost.
He really does.
Bringing a full mariachi band into Jason Caperna's living room to cheer him up after he blew out his knee playing basketball.
A mariachi band for a basketball injury. The juxtaposition of these gifts. Brittany gets a boob cake for a major surgery, and Jason gets a live brass section for a sprained knee.
Make it make sense.
It is the perfect encapsulation of the gender divide on Bravo. But honestly, I love seeing Jason and Janet and Jasmine all sitting on the couch making peace. Because the real issue on the Valley right now, the absolute dark cloud, is Danny Bucco.
Danny Bucco has officially entered his villain era, and the PR crisis management happening around him is fascinating to watch.
I am heated about this. I am so emotionally triggered by how he treated Nia in San Diego. Babes, Nia is a literal angel on earth. She is postpartum with twins, holding this entire family together.
She really is.
And she asks him to just hold the baby so she can eat a sandwich. A sandwich! And he gets visibly annoyed. And then she gets excited about going on a roller coaster, and he calls her performative. To her face.
It was incredibly uncomfortable. He blamed it on having a few too many drinks, but the mask slipped. When people are exhausted and inebriated, the resentment leaks out.
It was so toxic.
But what is really interesting is how Bravo is handling the fallout. Luke Broderick and Tom Schwartz went on Watch What Happens Live with Andy Cohen, and Andy point-blank asked about it. Danny was supposed to be there, but he mysteriously had a huge movie to film.
Sure, Dan. A huge movie is the classic PR dodge. You do not put the client in the hot seat when the Twitter sentiment is at rock bottom.
Exactly. But look at what Luke did. Luke is Danny's biggest defender. But he looked dead in the camera and said it is not a good look. He was an a-hole.
What?
Schwartz backed him up. When Schwartz, a man who has spent a decade sweeping bad behavior under the rug, is calling you out on live television, you have lost the plot entirely.
I think Luke had to say that. If Luke defended Danny yelling at his postpartum wife, the audience would turn on Luke next. It was a self-preservation move for the entire cast. And then you have Lala Kent getting involved on the after show.
Lala always gets involved.
Lala confronted Danny about how he was speaking to Naya and then checked him on his drinking. But Kristen and Danny started trying to spin this narrative that Lala was only coming for Danny because Janet Caperna manipulated her into it. Because Janet and Danny have beef.
Which is a desperate deflection tactic. When you're caught behaving badly, you try to invalidate the criticism by questioning the motive of the critic.
Which Lala immediately shut down. She said, quote, "I love Janet, but she does not have that much power, honey." Lala basically said, if Jason was treating Janet the way Danny treated Naya, we would be calling him out too. It is purely about the behavior, not the alliance. Danny cannot use Janet as a scapegoat for being a terrible husband on camera.
He is learning the hard way that reality TV requires a level of stamina that he currently lacks.
Speaking of lacking the stamina for a toxic environment, we need to look at a massive era ending in New Jersey.
I have to mourn. We have to have a moment of silence because Margaret Joseph is officially leaving the Real Housewives of New Jersey. The Marge is out.
It is an absolute seismic shift in the Jersey landscape. She went on a podcast and laid it all out. She said she made a mistake even going back for season 14.
My heart breaks for her. She said her mental health just could not take the toxic environment anymore, and we all know exactly what that means. The Teresa Giudice and Luis Ruola's darkness.
It got very dark.
Margaret said they said horrific things about her family, and Louise literally wished suffering on her son. Who does that? Her own family begged her to walk away. You cannot put a price tag on your sanity, not even for Bravo. Let us analyze the mechanics of this exit. She categorically said it is not Teresa, meaning she is not running scared from the Housewives feud. A Housewives feud is camp. A Housewives feud is throwing a plate at a diner.
Right, that is just good TV.
What Louise brought to the show was real-world malice. She is treating Louis like a toxic asset in a corporate merger. You do not negotiate with it, you divest entirely.
That is the perfect way to phrase it. It is a workplace safety issue. If you worked in a bank and a coworker's husband threatened your child, HR would involve the police. But on Bravo, they just put you on a reading couch and ask you to hash it out. At what point does the network have a duty of care to their cast?
That is the multi-million-dollar legal question facing reality TV right now. The duty of care. But her exit paves the way for a total reboot. Dolores Catania was on SiriusXM and confirmed that filming for season 15 has started, and wait for it. She saw Teresa and Melissa Gorga in the same room, and it was peaceful.
I will believe it when I see it. A peaceful Teresa and Melissa. After last season where they had to watch the finale in separate rooms like feuding warlords.
Dolores says they reconciled over the holidays. It is sincere. It is about the kids.
Sure.
Melissa said she is excited for the freshening up with the new cast members. I just feel like the entire franchise is grasping at straws to survive without a complete recast.
They are trying to course correct because the audience is exhausted by the dark toxicity, which is why Atlanta is currently providing the perfect palate cleanser. Kelly Potter is fighting a completely absurd, low-stakes battle, and it is a brilliant display of misallocated resources.
She is currently in a blood feud with a Bravo blogger, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Over a t-shirt. This is so petty, and I am living for it. So Kelly debuts this confessional look, and it is literally just a plain white t-shirt, which, let us be real, Nene Leakes wore a white tee in 50 episodes and made it iconic.
Really, I got it.
But this blogger posts a side-by-side and says it is the worst confessional look of all time. Go on, girl, give us nothing.
So Kelly takes the bait. She reposts the blogger's screenshot to defend herself, saying she just was not in the mood for glam. But here is the critical error. She strategically crops out the blogger's watermark and username.
That is a declaration of war in the content creation community. You do not steal the meme without tagging the creator.
It is an unwritten intellectual property law of the internet. The blogger gets furious about the lack of credit and then just goes nuclear and leaks Kelly's private DMs.
No way.
Yes, Kelly had DM'd them saying, I was coming on here to give you credit, and then I realized the complete disrespect. Please do not forget you post me for engagement.
Kelly is fighting a potential bankruptcy, a lawsuit with her neighbor, her ex-husband, and now she is battling Instagram accounts over a Hanes V-neck.
It is the ultimate reality star delusion. They want the engagement of the fan accounts, but they demand the respect of traditional media. You cannot have both. Prioritize your battles, Kelly.
Just like Lisa Barlow over in Salt Lake City needs to prioritize hers, because Lisa is doing the post and delete dance on Twitter and the internet caught it.
The screenshots live forever.
They do. Lisa Barlow went completely after Bronwyn Newport. Remember the pact they supposedly made in season 6 to not talk about each other's partners? Gone. Shredded.
What did she say?
Lisa tweeted, "Get Brandon's side of the story because I have already heard her lies," and literally tagged Bronwyn's model boyfriend, Brandon Good.
She tagged the boyfriend? That is aggressive.
Bronwyn has been parading this new romance with Brandon ever since she split from her husband, Todd. Todd, who, as a reminder, Lisa helped expose for allegedly making out with her friend while flatulating.
I will never, ever get that imagery out of my head. Bronwyn told Lisa she was dead to her, and clearly the resurrection has not happened. Season 7 is filming right now, and apparently production told Brittany Bateman to go after Bronwyn too. The target is firmly on Bronwyn's back.
It is a coordinated takedown. But speaking of coordinated PR moves that feel like a hallucination, we need to look at Orange County. Not the show itself, but the political aspirations adjacent to it.
Because Heather and Terry Dubrow, the wealthiest, most ostensibly polished couple on Bravo, have officially endorsed Spencer Pratt for mayor of Los Angeles.
I am having an out-of-body experience, Spencer Pratt. The crystal-obsessed villain of the hills. He is running for mayor on a platform of jailing homeless people and supporting ICE, which is horrifying.
It is very dark.
But he is using these bizarre AI-generated rap videos for his campaign ads, and Heather and Terry went on their podcast and literally raved about him.
Terry called the AI ads the most brilliant thing he has ever seen. Heather said, "We definitely need a new regime here, and that Spencer is smart enough to know what he does not know." Let us dissect the danger of this.
Please do.
We are looking at a complete regulatory void when it comes to AI and local political advertising. The FEC has not caught up. Spencer Pratt is exploiting a loophole using generative AI to create viral, low-cost propaganda, and the Dubrows are legitimizing it because they find it entertaining.
Vicky Gunvalson used to yell at Heather for being too liberal, and now Heather is swinging hard right for the Prada-wearing prince of reality TV darkness. And Spencer even said if he loses, he is leaving LA forever. It is political blackmail.
The irony is the Dubrows split their time between Beverly Hills and the OC. Do they even hold primary residency in Los Angeles County to cast a ballot for him? It is entirely performative. They are endorsing the spectacle, not the policy.
But staying in the OC for a second, we actually have some genuinely good, serious news for once regarding a different cast member.
We need some good news.
Yes, oh my gosh. Gina Kirschenheiter's fiancé, Travis Mullen. He just won full primary physical and legal custody of his 3 kids.
This has been a brutal, years-long battle with his ex-wife, Meghan. Family court is a nightmare under the best of circumstances, but when you add reality TV visibility, it becomes a powder keg.
Absolutely.
They split in 2016. It got so bad that last year, Gina actually asked Travis and his kids to move out of their shared home temporarily because she felt her own children's safety was at risk due to Meghan's erratic behavior.
It was terrifying. Travis found out Meghan was keeping their son out of school for weeks. She was missing court-ordered drug tests. He had to call the police. The judge finally ruled that Meghan only gets visitation with the daughters, supervised visits with the son, and mandatory drug and alcohol testing.
That is a huge relief.
The relief that Gina and Travis must be feeling right now. They can finally just breathe and plan their wedding without this massive legal anvil hanging over them.
It is a massive victory for stability. Now, looking at the broader map of Bravo franchises, Andy Cohen was asked about expanding to St. Louis. He grew up there, and he gave it a resounding hard no.
I laughed out loud at his reasoning. He basically said, I cannot imagine how annoying it would be for my mom, dad, and sister to be like, oh, so-and-so auditioned.
He's not wrong.
He said the drama of dealing with housewives is bad enough, but multiplying it in his hometown where his mother has to go to the grocery store? Absolutely not. Protect Mama Cohen at all costs.
It is self-preservation. You do not pollute your own well. But while St. Louis is Melbourne is a go. The rumors are swirling that The Real Housewives of Melbourne is officially rebooting in 2027. ITV Australia supposedly won the TV rights in a massive bidding war against Eureka and Warner Bros.
And the Queen is returning. Gina Liano. The hair, the glitter, the absolute withering reeds. She's coming back, alongside a bunch of newbies like Tina Nettlefold and Jesse Roberts.
Iconic.
Apparently, Gamble and Janet were considered less essential, which hurts my heart. But if we get Gina back on our screens, I will take whatever they give us.
Let us talk about the economics of a reboot like this.
Right.
Why wait until 2027? Why let a property sit dormant for years? It is a strategic move to reset the talent quotes.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, if a show runs for 10 seasons, the cast's salaries become bloated. The production budget becomes unsustainable.
Yeah.
By canceling it, letting it rest, and rebooting it years later, the network can re-sign the anchor talent, like Gina, and fill the rest of the cast with cheaper newbies, completely resetting their profit margins.
I never thought about that. They literally starve out the cast, so they'll take a lower paycheck later. Speaking of missing cast members, quick detour to Charleston. Southern Charm is filming season 12, and Patricia Altschul hosted her annual guys' dinner.
A staple.
But there was a very noticeable empty chair at the table. Craig Conover was completely MIA.
The pillow magnate is absent. Patricia posted the video with Shep teasing a smaller table this year. When a fan asked where Craig was, Patricia ominously replied, "We were filming for a particular reason. You will see why."
Where is he? I'm deeply concerned for the state of the Southern Charm romances. Did he just quit mid-season? The tension with Austin has been boiling for years. Maybe he just decided his sewing down South empire does not need the toxic dinner parties anymore.
Let us look at the power dynamics. Last season, Craig was awful. He fought with Austin, he treated Sally Carson terribly, and critically, he fought with Whitney.
Oh, that is true.
Whitney is not just cast. He is the creator and executive producer. Did Craig finally bite the hand that feeds him? If you alienate the executive producer, you do not get an invite to his mother's highly produced dinner party. It is the ultimate consequence of biting the invisible production hand.
Oh, wow. So he might be effectively iced out of the core narrative. Well, brace yourself, because if you think Bravo is toxic, we are about to descend to the absolute swamp. If Bravo is the luxury Louis Vuitton wallet we are manifesting, TLC is the sticky floor of the club at 3 a.m. when the lights come on.
The Mama June universe. It is a tragic study in generational trauma and terrible decision-making.
I physically cringed multiple times reading these updates. It is so dark, and yet I cannot look away. So the season finale airs, and Pumpkin drops this nuclear bombshell that her ex-husband, Josh, had a threesome.
But not just any threesome. We need to map out the geometry of this family tree because it is staggering.
A get-back threesome.
Yeah.
Because Josh found out that Pumpkin was cheating on him with his cousin by marriage, Darren.
Still messy.
So on the exact night he finds out, he is hanging out at Pumpkin's biological sister Jessica's house with Jessica and her wife Cheyenne. And they all decide to hook up to get revenge on Pumpkin.
Analytically, look at the destruction.
Yeah.
Pumpkin is cheating on her husband with his cousin. The husband finds out, so he sleeps with his wife's sister, who is his former sister-in-law, and her wife. The sheer logistical nightmare of the holiday dinner table is beyond comprehension.
Pumpkin gets on Facebook and posts a 2-part video trying to control the narrative. She admits she was fooling around with Darren, but claims she had already told Josh she wanted a divorce.
Classic deflection.
She said, quote, "I had been told him that. The grammar alone is sending me." But she is furious because she says going after her biological sister is way worse than her going after his cousin.
It is a race to the absolute bottom of morality. Cheyenne tried to claim she only slept with Josh so he could impregnate her like a walking sperm donor. Pumpkin fired back. Has none of y'all ever heard of a sperm bank and a turkey baster?
The turkey baster. But how did Pumpkin even find out? Alana, Honey Boo Boo herself, and Justin Stroud went on TikTok Live and revealed a little birdie snitched. Someone who was mad at Josh, wanted revenge, and told Pumpkin.
And Josh, who never goes on live, finally hits TikTok to defend himself. He claims he only slept with Cheyenne, not Jessica.
Unbelievable.
But then he takes aim at Mama June, who has been accusing him of doing drugs with her ex, Gino, years ago. Josh gets on camera and screams that he hates June so much, if she died tomorrow, he would throw a party and buy Little Caesars pizza for everyone.
Little Caesars, he would not even spring for Papa John's, the disrespect. But the absolute craziest part of this entire weekend of TikTok Lives was not the threesome. It was a massive contractual slip-up by Justin Stroud.
This is the big one.
He was screaming at June, defending Josh's parenting timeline, and he accidentally blurts out that Alana has been living with her older boyfriend, Drawlin, since she was 15 years old.
This is the smoking gun that exposes the fraudulent narrative of the entire television show. For years, the network storyline was that Pumpkin had full custody and Alana lived safely with her and Josh.
Right.
Fans always suspected she was shacking up with Dralen, who was 4 years older than her, meaning he was 19 when she was 15. The age of consent in Georgia is 16. The family vehemently denied it to protect the show, and Justin just screams it on live to win an internet argument. She lived by herself with Dralen and Draco from 15 till now.
He completely blew up the entire show's storyline. They literally paid Pumpkin child support for a kid that was living with an adult man. It is so dark and so negligent, I cannot even snark on it properly. It just makes me profoundly sad for Alana.
It is a complete failure of the adults and the child labor laws protecting reality TV kids. The laws that protect child actors in California do not apply strictly in Georgia for unscripted television. The network looked the other way to keep the narrative clean. It is a dereliction of duty across the board.
And speaking of complete dereliction of duty and dealing with legal consequences, let us check in on Falen Vaughn from Unexpected.
Falen Vaughn's legal defense is a fascinating exploration of sovereign citizen-adjacent delusion.
She is asking a judge to drop her disorderly conduct and obstruction charges from when she got arrested outside Casey Johnson's house. The body cam footage is already out there. We all saw her lunging and screaming, but her legal defense motion is absolute comedy.
She is blaming the arresting officer for grabbing her arm, claiming he used a chokehold and threw her to the street unprovoked, even though the video shows her actively resisting.
Of course she is.
But her two main legal arguments for why the case should be dismissed are entirely based on a misunderstanding of constitutional law. One, she claims the cops did not read her Miranda rights. Two, she claims they forgot to put her seatbelt on in the cruiser and had to pull over to buckle her in.
I was unbuckled, Your Honor. Therefore, all crimes are forgiven. Babes, please explain the Miranda rights thing because so many reality stars scream this while getting arrested.
It is the most common misconception. The Fifth Amendment and the Miranda warning only apply if two conditions are met. You must be in custody, and you must be subjected to an interrogation.
Oh, I see.
The police are legally allowed to arrest you and throw you in the back of a car without reading your rights, as long as they are not actively questioning you to elicit a confession to use in court. If you are just screaming spontaneous obscenities in the street, they do not need a confession. They have the act itself. Her lawyer knows this, but they are throwing spaghetti at the wall to placate a delusional client.
And she claims her husband, Chris, who peeled out in his truck right next to a cop, was not a threat because he had already left the area.
Yes, by driving dangerously close to law enforcement. The absolute refusal to take accountability is staggering. The judge has not ruled yet, but she is due back in court in August. I would not hold my breath for a dismissal.
We see this same inability to separate narrative from reality when we look at the Chrisley family. Lindsie Chrisley is operating under a similar legal delusion. I'm sighing heavily. Yes. Lindsie dropped her temporary protective order against her ex-boyfriend, David Landsman. Remember, he was just arrested for aggravated assault via strangulation and battery against her.
She gets on her audio platform and tries to spin this. She said she did not drop it because the claims were false, but because she is a decent person and wanted to avoid a 12-hour court proceeding.
A decent person.
She said they signed a mutual no-contact order until May 2027 instead, and she got custody of their dachshund, Oliver.
That is what makes me sick to my stomach. You do not drop a protective order against a man who attacked you because you do not want to sit in court all day. You sit in that courtroom for a week if you have to. She said she has empathy for him. Empathy. Babes, protect your peace and protect your kid.
Let us analyze the twisted logic she is operating under. She claims that because he is out on bond, the bond conditions act as a criminal restraining order anyway, so she did not need the civil order.
Is that true?
That is technically true in the short term. But bond conditions vanished the second the criminal case is resolved or dismissed. A civil order provides long-term independent protection. She literally stated in her initial filing that David had physically attacked her son Jackson in the past, and that this recent arrest was not the first time he choked her. A mutual no-contact order relies on both parties acting in good faith, and this individual has repeatedly demonstrated bad faith.
It is incredibly bleak. So for the sake of our own mental health, let us pivot away from the crime blotter. Let us elevate. Let us cleanse the palate with some actual A-list celebrity glamour, pop culture panic, and absolute delusion.
Take us to Calabasas.
Kylie Jenner just broke the internet with a single word. Page 6 posted a TikTok of Timothy Chalamet arriving at the Knicks game at Madison Square Garden. He's wearing this oversized graphic tee, looking very 90s skater boy, very unbothered. And Kylie Jenner, from her official account, slides into the comments and just types, "Daddy."
Daddy. One word. 5 letters. Maximum destruction.
I doubt.
The internet immediately burst into flames. The comment section on Twitter was just people screaming that they were reading the comment like it was a global emergency alert.
I was screaming because they have been keeping it so relatively low-key. They hard launched at the Beyoncé concert, they did the Golden Globes, but they have been quiet lately. And for her to just publicly claim him with daddy on a random sports TikTok, she is so down bad for this man, and I love it for her.
I do not think it is just being down bad. Look at the PR mechanics of a one-word comment. It is highly calculated. The Kardashian-Jenner machine understands SEO better than anyone.
You think Kris Jenner approved it?
By dropping a single provocative word on a third-party media account, she guarantees a full week of news cycles without having to do an interview, post a grid photo, or actually address the relationship. It is maximum engagement for zero caloric output.
Speaking of maximizing engagement with zero output, let us talk about Khloe Kardashian.
The AI simulation strikes again.
Okay, so this parody account on Twitter posts this collage claiming Khloe and Michael B. Jordan were spotted having dinner together and holding hands. The internet loses its collective mind for about 4 minutes. People are plotting the wedding, naming the babies.
Until anyone with functioning eyes actually looked at the photo.
Right.
It was so clearly generative AI. The hands looked like melting wax, the lighting made no sense, the background geometry was warped. It was a complete fabrication.
But the fact that it went so viral so fast proves how desperate the public is to see Khloe with a decent man who is not Tristan Thompson. We want her with Killmonger. We want her to have a cinematic romance.
It is a fascinating look at how the public uses AI to project their own desires onto celebrities. We are creating fan fiction imagery because reality is too disappointing. We're also entering dangerous legal territory regarding the rights to a celebrity's likeness. How long until a deepfake puts a celebrity in a compromising position that ruins a brand deal?
Well, you know what is real and absolutely perfect? The aesthetic superiority of Sophia Richie.
Sophia Richie Grange is running a clinic on soft girl, quiet luxury motherhood.
She posted these photos for her daughter Eloise's 2nd birthday, and I was weeping. It is a carousel of just the most dreamy, pastel, perfectly lit memories, ball pits, beach days, matching pajamas. It is the antithesis of reality TV chaos. It is calm, it is beautiful, it is wealthy, and similarly, Derek Hugh and Hailey Erbert.
That video was genuinely moving. Hailey, 7 weeks postpartum after having their baby Everly, goes back into the dance studio. She was wearing this dramatic, feathery white coat, spinning across the floor.
It was stunning.
And Derek is filming little Everly being held up in the air, just absolutely mesmerized watching her mom dance for the first time.
Her little eyes tracking her mom across the room after everything Hailey went through with her cranial hematoma last year, to see her dancing strong and a mother. I am an emotional wreck. It is so beautiful.
It is a massive triumph. Now, moving from triumphant returns to triumphant unions, the Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce's wedding watch has reached legislative levels of absurdity.
The New York State budget. I cannot handle this rumor.
So a report leaked that New York State Assembly Democrats were actually debating adding a $250,000 earmark to the overdue state budget, specifically to provide state trooper security for a rumored July 3rd wedding between Taylor and Travis in New York City.
Taxpayer-funded Swiftie security. Imagine the political fallout if that actually happened. A representative for Governor Kathy Hochul had to quickly issue a statement denying there was any specific wedding earmark, but the fact that it was even allegedly debated in government chambers, her power is terrifying.
Let us look at how municipal budgets actually handle private event security. When a massive event happens, cities usually require the organizers to pay for off-duty details, meaning the city provides the police, but the billionaire pays the hourly rate.
That makes sense.
The idea that lawmakers would try to bury a $250,000 taxpayer subsidy for a billionaire's private wedding into a state budget to avoid a logistical nightmare is astounding. They pulled the item because it was sure to be politically controversial, which is the understatement of the century.
But the July 3rd date is interesting because Taylor is officially slated to perform at the Songwriters Hall of Fame in NYC on June 11th. keeping her right in the zone. It is an ultra-exclusive 21 and over event, no plus ones unless you are literally elite.
And Travis?
Travis has a mandatory Chiefs minicamp from June 9th to 11th, so he might have to sprint from the field to a private jet to make the cocktail hour. But the pieces are moving, babes. The jewelry rumors, the security rumors, the NYC timeline. I am manifesting this wedding more than I am manifesting my Louis wallet.
We will monitor the airspace. Now, while we are talking about high-profile events, the fallout from the Kevin Hart roast on Netflix is still happening, and Chelsea Handler just inserted herself into the narrative with a flamethrower.
Good for her. Chelsea went on Dion Cole's audio show and absolutely eviscerated Shane Gillis and Tony Hinchcliffe. She called them out by name, called them racist, bigots, sexist. She specifically went after Gillis's joke about Kevin Hart being so short they would have to lynch him from a bonsai tree.
Which is an objectively vile premise. Handler rightly pointed out that lynching is not a punchline, it is a historical atrocity. She said, "You are not joking about assault, are you? You know you cannot do that, but you can say lynching." She said the whole vibe was gross and Kevin Hart deserved a more elevated roast, not a frat house bigotry contest.
And Shane Gillis's response was so dismissive, he just gave a statement to Variety saying, "This is a big moment for Chelsea. I am glad she is capitalizing." The arrogance, the complete lack of introspection. She's holding the line on basic human decency and comedy, and they are just doubling down on the shock value.
They are catering to an algorithm that rewards outrage. But let us cross the pond for our final era-ending spiral, the Royals. And as always, a massive disclaimer to the Snark Squad. Everything we are about to say is alleged.
Very alleged.
Because they are highly litigious, they are sue-happy, and babes, we do not have the coin to pay for a transatlantic defamation lawsuit.
Allegedly. Everything is a rumor in our minds. But this first one is an undeniable, factual, video-recorded reality. King Charles, the literal monarch, was visiting Northern Ireland, greeting the public in Newcastle, and a seagull flew over and pooped right on the back of his suit jacket.
The indignity.
I giggled for 20 minutes. The universe has a sense of humor. And to his credit, Charles handled it gracefully. He just laughed it off and joked to the crowd. At least it did not land on my head, which is the most British, stiff upper lip response to avian assault I have ever heard.
It is supposed to be good luck, but he is going to need more than seagull luck to fix the internal family dynamics, because the friction between Harry and Meghan is allegedly hitting a boiling point over their brand strategy.
This is fascinating to me. So the reports are saying that Harry's getting antsy. He feels like King Charles is in a vulnerable place with his health, and Harry wants to pitch a part-time royal return.
A half-in, half-out situation.
Exactly. He genuinely believes he can convince his dad to let them back into the fold. But he knows he cannot do it alone. He wants Meghan by his side to present a united front.
But Meghan has entirely different plans. She has built a completely separate California-based brand. She has American Riviera Orchard. She has her production deals. She is not about to scrap her entire entrepreneurial vision to go stand on a balcony in London and get sneered at by the British press. Sources are saying they are very much at odds, and neither is ready to budge.
And royal experts are taking it a step further. They are claiming that Meghan now views Harry's royal drama as a literal problem for her image. Whenever they are together, all the headlines are about Charles and William and the feud. It eclipses her actual work.
Let us break down the corporate strategy here. Meghan is treating the royal family like a toxic parent company. She's trying to spin off her own lifestyle startup. But every time Harry brings up the parent company's drama, it cannibalizes her SEO.
Oh, that makes total sense.
When people Google Meghan Markle, she wants them to find strawberry jam and podcasts, not family feuds. She has realized that Harry's proximity to the crown is actually a liability to her corporate sponsorships.
That is a massive paradigm shift, from the two of them against the world to her realizing he is dragging down her lifestyle brand, which is exactly why she did her high-profile trip to Geneva completely solo.
Right.
She delivered a speech, she networked, and Harry was nowhere to be seen. Commentator Rob Shooter said organizers offered to accommodate Harry, but Meghan allegedly said, "No, this is my moment." She believes she is more powerful and has greater professional opportunities by stepping forward by herself.
But despite the rift with the senior royals, they still have an anchor in the family, Princess Eugenie. Sources say Eugenie considers Harry and Meghan integral to her survival. With everything going on with her father, Prince Andrew's horrific scandals, and her mother Sarah Ferguson's past issues, Eugenie's inner circle has shrunk.
She refused to freeze Harry out when the rest of the family demanded it, and now they are her biggest supporters. It is actually really sweet. Through all the toxicity of the monarchy, those three managed to hold on to their trauma bond and support each other. It is a tiny glimmer of loyalty in a very messy palace.
It is loyalty, but it's also an alliance. We have covered the globe today, from the PR spins in the Valley to the algorithmic manipulation of gossip blogs to the brand cannibalization of the royals.
And I feel so much lighter. The Hugo Spritz did its job, the Snark Squad did its job, and my blood pressure is finally returning to a normal resting rate. Babes, thank you so much for hanging out and spiraling with us today.
We talked a lot about the end of an era today. Listeners quitting jobs, reality stars leaving toxic shows, the royals splitting their brands. And there is a profound psychological mechanism beneath all of this gossip. In an industry and a world designed to own your identity, monetize your trauma, and dictate your narrative, the only true power you have left is the power to leave.
Wow.
The ultimate flex is not a $20 million claim or a designer wallet. The ultimate flex is the audacity to walk away from the chaos on your own terms. I want you all to think about what toxic narratives you need to walk away from this weekend.
That is exactly it. Take back your power, babes. We need you to hit the comments immediately. What is your favorite end of an era moment from your own life? Have you ever quit a job with a greeting card?
And critically, are luxury rewards valid motivation for basic adult tasks? Because I am halfway to convincing myself I deserve that Louis Vuitton wallet just for surviving this recording.
Validate our consumerism, please, and let us know which listener confession was the absolute messiest.
Do not forget to like, comment, and subscribe. It defeats the algorithms, it terrifies the bloggers, and it keeps the spritzes flowing.
Stay messy.
Stay motivated.
And we will see you on the snark side.